Out here today as part of a coordinated effort all across the state to stop prison and jail expansion in general, and specifically today to respond to the governor's May revised budget, which was released yesterday. And what we see in his budget, after analyzing it, is that money is continuing to be funneled into the pockets of law enforcement and to expand incarceration and systems of policing. And we're out here today because we know that if we put this money toward restoring social services and social safety net for the state of California, that we won't be locking up as many people, because these two things are directly related. You take funding away from services that people need to survive, and you put them into building beds. You defund education, you defund affordable housing, drug treatment, criminalize those things, and expand the prison system. So we're out here today as part of a huge effort across the state to say that we're not going to let that happen in our backyard. And let's remember, it's really important to remember that we have very clear victories. Earlier this year, we successfully killed 2 bills that would have given $4 billion in jail expansion money. So this works. That was $4 billion, and in the budget right now, there's another $5 million being slated. $5 billion. If we killed $4 billion, can we kill $500 million?
Yes.
One more time, please.
We're here to really speak up about and respond to the governor's May revised budget, which is really illuminating to where the state's priorities are at. We're in a place where we really need to follow the money in order to see how lawmakers are handling our issues, and they're obviously not. So yesterday we heard that the governor is proposing to open around 5,000 new prison beds, open 4 new prisons, and add $500 million to jail construction. Last year there was $500 million to jail construction, and the year before that there was $1.2 billion to jail construction. So we see that all of these issues that everyone is talking about, affordable public housing, education, mental health, they're being completely ignored. It's a slap in the face to all Californians who voted for Prop 30, who voted for Prop 36, and we're seeing a lot of the Prop 30 revenue surplus going to prison expansion, right? So we're here to say we want community-based solutions through the plethora of messages that we're hearing here in Santa Cruz. We also are holding our elected officials accountable, right? We've got Mark Stone on our side. We have Board of Supervisors who time and time again know about our leading alternatives that we're promoting here in Santa Cruz, but are still down for jail construction. So what does this mean that we have to do? It means that we have to annihilate $500 million so that they focus and prioritize alternatives, because that is what we know that we want. We see prisons and jails, and we see correctional officers and sheriffs begin messaging prison expansion proposals, right? They're building gender-responsive prisons now. They're building family reunification centers inside prisons now. They're building mental health centers inside prisons now. They're even building re-entry prisons now, right? We know that these things are much more viable in the community, and a cage is a cage, and no matter what you call it, it tears communities apart and it destabilizes families, and it creates havoc across the state. Even here in Santa Cruz, the leading county of all of California.
And I just want to live my life the way I knew I could do it. Because I made it through 11 years of hell. And it wasn't literally hell, but it was bad. Because when I came out to a hell. And I came out to a really dark place where now everything's supposed to be changing, and everything just got changed the other way. Now you don't got schools that you're supposed to be building. You don't got parks. You don't got treatment. Like, you don't got nothing. You want to take everything back, and you want to build more prisons. More prisons. Go ahead. You'll have a nightmare. You'll have your hell. You will have your hell if you build those prisons. Because you know what? All you're going to do is push people to do more things that they don't need to be doing. And all it takes is one person to take a whole batch and just ruin it. I've seen it happen time and time again.
You know, we need to start thinking differently. Like I said, and one thing, like I said, working with youth, realize just how much money they don't get, how many perks they don't get because we're trying to put them in prison. So the school to prison pipeline works real well. You know, you start putting out having absolutely no tolerance for anything. So anything at all happens, kids put out of school, and you got out of school, sometimes they go back, sometimes they don't, and then the rest of their life sucks. So that school to prison pipeline starts with this no tolerance. We don't tolerate any kind of anything. Like a little kid being suspended because he did like that to another little kid with his fingers, and they threw his ass out of school for 3 days. You know, so we're not paying attention to our kids, we're not paying attention to ourselves. Because our kids are saying, we need something else. And this money is good to do it. A lot of this money can do a lot of good stuff.
While my partner was dying, she was heartbroken. She couldn't see a son who was in prison, now in Corcoran, and another in jail. Both these sons are black. A serious lack in culturally appropriate services for our black community and racial profiling caused disproportionate incarceration of African Americans. About 1.8% of Santa Cruz's total population, but 9% of our jail population. Another son was in and out of San Quentin and other prisons since he was a teenager in juvie hall. Her daughter got addicted, and my partner foster parented our granddaughters while extremely ill and dying. When the girls came to us in middle school, they did not know how to do homework or use a dictionary. In the last 30 years, California has steadily cut education, and California's public K-12 system is among the worst in the nation in per-student spending. Eventually, a residential drug treatment program helped her daughter get clean and regain custody. My partner was a survivor of domestic violence and needed prevention and recovery services. Her children needed social services and community resources, education and job training, equity of wages and resources, drug prevention and treatment, mental and physical health care, and restorative justice. But the governor's new budget only makes things worse, increasing corrections spending by 2.9%. Spending on prisons will top $12 billion. Since the courts gave the governor 2 more years to cut the prison population, he has reduced funding for programs to do so safely. Funds to expand medical parole and to begin parole for elders and for nonviolent and non-sexual second strikers is half of what it was in his January budget. Sin Barras, Feminists Working on Real Democracy, F-Word, and Santa Cruz Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, WILP, endorsed the Rise Out of Poverty Act, House of Representatives Bill 814, and congressional reintroduction of the Women's Option to Raise Kids, WORK Act, to recognize caregiving work and shift welfare policy toward the elimination of poverty of mothers and children. We need local, state, and national anti-poverty programs and social services, and we need to permanently reduce our prison and jail population. Santa Cruz County, California, and U.S. invest in caring, not in caging.
Thank you, Willow.
We aren't just talking about people in prison somewhere else. This shit is here. And things we can do, and things we can't do because we don't have any money, but things we could do if we did. Things we have to do. And we don't get the money for it. And we have to make noise, you know?